Welcome back here to our Choose, Ask, Build Challenge, part of the Quiz Funnel Workshop. I want to welcome you here, or welcome you back. My name is Ryan Levesque, and I could not be more excited and more thrilled to welcome you to today's session. So before we dive right in, I want to hear from you to make sure that you can hear me okay, you can see me okay, looking good, feeling good. We all ought to be in Hollywood, as they say. Excited to be here with you here today. Let me know in the comments that you can hear me okay, you can see me okay. Let me know where you are watching this from right here, right now in the world. I know we've got members of this community literally in all corners of the globe. Some of you are here watching this at 2 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Some of you have just started your day. Some of you are ending your day. Some of you are watching this from work. Some of you are watching this from home, but we are all here together, and I could not be more excited for today's session. So if you're just joining us here for the very first time, over the last week, we have been creating, participating in, and developing and delivering a 5-day Choose, Ask, Build challenge, where we've gone through the process of how to choose your market, how to ask your market what they want, so that you can build your business of your dreams, and through that process, create your quiz funnel, build your funnel. So this Choose, Ask, Build process is all designed as pre-work for the main event, which kicks off next week, which is our Quiz Funnel Workshop. So my question to you is this: for those of you who are here specifically to be participating in the Choose, Ask, Build challenge, I want to invite you in the comment thread to type the word challenge. And for those of you who are specifically here for the Quiz Funnel Workshop, which is kicking off next week, I want to invite you to use the word quiz in all capital letters. Let me know why you're here. And if you're here for both, you can go ahead and type the word both in the comment thread. Now, the reason why I want to know this is because I want to get a sense for who's been with us here since the beginning, all this week, who's joining us for the very first time here today, and who's really looking forward to getting your quiz built, which is what we're going to be focusing on next week. So I see a great crew that's here today. Robert says both. Larry says loud and clear. Amelia says Quiz Funnel Workshop, all caps. Marie says challenge. Tammy says quiz and workshop. I love this. Becky says curious about quiz. Tushar says both. Gary says both. Becky says curious about both. Let's see, we've got Richard says both. Marine says both. Karina says both. So we're all here, and I am loving this group. I'm loving your energy. Now remember, we've got prizes and surprises that I'll be sharing along the way, and the more you participate, the more you comment, the more you engage when you're here live, the better chance you have to win one of these many prizes that we're going to be giving away, beginning with a few Amazon gift cards that I'll be talking about a little bit later on here today. All right, so before we go any further, I want to quickly recap everything that we've covered up until this point, because today is the day where everything starts to come together. All the work that we've done leading up to this point here in the Choose, Ask, Build challenge, this foundational work that's designed to set you up for success so that you know precisely what your next steps are when it comes to creating a quiz funnel in your business to generate leads, to generate customers, to generate clients, whether you've got a business right now that you're looking to take to the next level, or you're completely starting from scratch. Now, I know for some of you, you might be totally beginning from ground zero. You've got no business, no website, no market, no products, and you just have a desire to become your own boss, to create your own income stream, to build really what is the first few steps of your business. And I know for some of you here, it's a different story altogether. You've got an established business and you're just looking to take it to that next level, and you might be somewhere in between. So this Choose, Ask, Build process that we've been going through over the last few days is the same exact process that, listen, I personally use myself when I first got started many years ago. In fact, it's the process I used to go from $370 in my first month in business to over $24,000 a month within 18 months. Within 3 years, go on to make over $117,000 a month, over $1 million a year. And the way I did it was by going into all these different weird niche markets, 23 different weird niche markets. Markets like Scrabble tile jewelry, orchid care, memory training, satellite TV, flea removal, water filtration, fish oil supplements, violet care, and more. And in these markets, build audiences that started literally from scratch, of 78,000 subscribers, 103,000 customers, 260,000 subscribers, 30,000 customers, 535,000 email subscribers. And for me, my story is really simple. It's nothing special. I grew up working class, first in my family to go to college. I happened to study neuroscience, became really obsessed with human psychology and the way our minds work and market psychology, and studied neuroscience at the Ivy League level at Brown University. After college, I had an opportunity to work in New York City and later in China. 2008, when the world financial crisis hits, in an economic environment not very dissimilar to the one that we just went through this past year, my company that I was working for was about to go out of business. So I was forced to leave my job, and I used that as my sign from above to start my own business. And my big goal when I started my business was to someday maybe make $10,000 a month. That was my goal. So I said, if I can make $10,000 a month, that would be my dream. And you can see here in this photo, I participated in the 10-year challenge a few years back in 2018. That was the year that we passed over $10 million in our business. And I share that with you because whether your big goal is to make $10,000 a month, $10 million a year, or somewhere in between, you are in the right place. This is a process you can use to start from scratch or to build an 8-figure business or anywhere in between. Now, my first question to you today is this. My question for you is as follows on the screen. What is your number? I'm curious. What is your number? What I mean by that is, what is the amount of monthly income that you want to achieve, that you want to attain in your business that would be transformative for you? Like I said, for me in my early career, it was to make $10,000 a month. That was like my someday maybe goal. That was like if everything went right, like that would be my dream come true, $10,000 a month. So my question to you is, what is your number? Go ahead and post it in the comments. Is it $1,000 a month? Is it $5,000 a month? $10,000 a month? $100,000 a month? $1 million a month? What is your number? What is the number that you have your eyes set on? And it might not be your someday maybe number. It might be the next immediate goal that you're looking to hit. Like I like to tell all my students, before you can make $1 million, you have to make your first dollar, right? Like before you can make $1 million, you got to sell $1 worth of stuff. So I'm just curious to know, what is your number? Jacqueline says $20,000 a month. Laurel says $50,000 a month. Let's see, Lorna says $5,000 a month. Marie says $10,000 a month. Gary says $10,000 a month. Lorna says $5,000 a month. Rosemary, $10,000. Richard says my next immediate is $1,000 a week. Tony says $100,000 a month. $7,000 a month. Marie, $100,000 a year, says Ace. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing your name correctly. I hope I am. Melvin, $10,000 a month would be a good first goal. Liz, $7,000 a month. DT says $30,000 a month. Mary, $60,000 a month. Denise, $6,000 to $10,000 a month. Ines, 10,000 euros a month. Paul, James, 5,000 pounds a month, if possible. Paul says 30,000. James says, let's see, Tole says, oh, that one broke up. Trevor says 12 million a month. Good luck. Awesome job. $3,000 a month. It is a lot in Indonesia, of course. Emma says 10,000 pounds, $6,000 a month, says Candace, as a side gig for now. But eventually I'd love to do $50,000 a month, says Melvin. So you can see here that we've got such a wide variety, and it really, this number is personal to you. Don't let anybody else's number, move you, dissuade you, influence you in any way, shape, or form. This is all about your number, but it's important to have clarity on what this is, what your next goal is. And you might have a someday maybe goal that's big out there in the horizon. But what I learned early in my career is that one of the secrets is to shrink the size of your goal in such a way that it is achievable to you. Like I said, before you can make $1 million a year, you first got to generate that first sale, one sale. So ask yourself, what's that next immediate step? What is it? Is that next immediate step to make your first dollar online? In which case, that's the number that you want to be thinking about. How can I generate $1? How do I shrink the size of the step that I'm asking myself to take that's so small that it's virtually impossible to fail? Like, can you get one sale, right? Because before you can get $1 million worth or $100,000 worth of revenue, you've got to generate $1. So you want to ask yourself, what's that next immediate step? So it's great to have that goal. It's great to have that vision. Keep that vision front and center in front of you. But what's the next number that you need to hit? If you're doing $1,000 a month right now, it might be get to $2,000. If you're at $10,000 a month, it might be getting to $15,000 a month. But that's a secret. When I shared with you my story from $370 to $24,000 a month, everyone always wants to know, how do you get to those numbers? Well, the answer is $500 at a time. That was my number. That was the number I could get my head around. I said, all right, I can make an extra $500. I can figure out this month how to grow my income by $500. And I grew it by 500, and then another 500. And then if 500 became 1,000, 1,000 became 2,000. Before you knew it, $24,000 a month became $100,000 a month. And today, that number is over $1 million a month. And I'll share with you a little bit inside our business and what we're doing here today. So you can see here, we do in our business over $384,000 a month in digital information product sales on the back of QuizFunnel. So you can see here an example of that in action. We do over $149,000 a month in affiliate marketing, selling other people's products as an affiliate. So for those of you who are saying, I've got no product, I don't even know what I would sell, what I would create, one of the great options in front of you is selling other people's products as an affiliate. And in the QuizFunnel workshop, we're going to be talking about that in a little bit more detail. Do over $392,000 a month in high-ticket coaching and consulting. So we have high-ticket coaching and consulting programs where we work with entrepreneurs in a deep way that we sell for tens of thousands of dollars, over $392,000 a month. So for those of you who do any sort of deep client work, this is something we're going to be talking about next week as well. Over $110,000 a month worth of e-commerce product sales. So physical products that you ship in the mail. If you're in that situation, we're going to be talking about that as well. Over $184,000 a month selling software subscriptions and memberships. So if you are in a software business, if you want to have a membership that you want to drive leads, customers, and clients into, we're going to be talking about that. All said and done, in the last 5 years alone, personally generated over $46 million in income using this QuizFunnel strategy. And it's a story that's been featured in all sorts of media around the world, from the Wall Street Journal to Entrepreneur to Harvard Business Review to the LA Times, NBC News, Fox News, and more. But far more important than my story, who cares about what I've been able to do? What about everyone else? Well, what's even more cool than the personal story that I'm excited to share with you here today, the story of my students, story of our clients, story of regular people, people like you and me, people who literally came into this world in a challenge just like the one that you're inside right now, that got excited about this idea of building a quiz funnel, following this choose, ask, build process, and have since been able to build the business of their dreams. Like Cindy Ingram, who was a school teacher, who was in the art appreciation market, followed this choose, ask, build process, used the quiz funnel, and is now making over $27,000 a month. It's more money than she was making in her first year as a teacher in a single year. People like Nir Yogev in Israel, in a part of the world that's been disrupted with all sorts of conflict, has been able to provide for his family a $44,000 a month income in the back pain market for his wife and his 3 kids. People like Charlie Wallace, a struggling musician who was literally living in the back of a van with his bandmates, who has since built a business that makes over $2.2 million a year and has allowed him to travel the world as a traveling musician. People like Will Hamilton, who graduated from college, didn't know what he wanted to do. I know there's some of y'all here who are early in your career, didn't know what he wanted to do. He was living in the basement of his parents' house. He decided to follow this process, create a business in the tennis market that now makes over $63,000 a month. People like Kathy Kowalik. Kathy is someone who's of the sandwich generation, where she's got younger people in her world, but she's got aging parents. She's got elderly relatives that she's the caretaker of, the primary caretaker. So she would love to be able to travel and do all these things, but she's got these huge responsibilities. So she needed a way to make an income that allowed her the flexibility to care for her aging relatives in her world. And she's got a business now that makes her $19,000 a month in the dog training market. People like Janine Samuels. Janine was working as a management consultant climbing the corporate ladder, but she was basically, it was soul-sucking work for her. It wasn't her dream. It wasn't her passion. Sure, she was making decent money, but she wanted to follow her dreams. And in her younger years, she was a professional cheerleader, and she decided that she wanted to help young women pursue their dreams to become a professional cheerleader themselves. And last year, she was able to quit her full-time job, replace her income, and do this full-time with the business that she's been able to build. And people like Jonathan Milligan, he's a father, he's got 2 kids. His kids are getting older. He wanted to spend more time with his kids before they moved out of their home and go off to college, created a business in the blogging space. First 4 months, $64,000 following this process. People like Dana Abraham in the parenting niche, mom of 3 kids. One of her children is someone who's we consider a child that's sort of an outside the box kid. He's been kicked out of more schools than she can count because of his learning challenges. And she's forced to homeschool her son and take care of her kids, and was able to build, using this process, over $1 million a year business. And this isn't just like sometime in the distant past. This is literally right now as we speak. In fact, I went through our community just the other day of clients, of customers, of students, and just pulled up some examples. Like Lynette, who just generated not too long ago her first ever online sale using this process. Linda, who just did over $2,700 in less than 10 days in her business using this process. Or Elisa, who just got her first 9 sales in less than a week using this process. Elitza, who generated her first $13,000 sale ever, which was like incredible. Greg, who had a $10,000 week doing a boot camp using this Choose, Ask, Build process on the back of his quiz funnel. Tran Manduk, for those of you who are in different countries around the world, Tran doing this in Vietnam, where the average annual salary is far lower than it is here in certainly my home country of the United States. And take a look at this. In less than 30 days, got 8 clients paying him $10,000 to $15,000 each using this process, getting new clients through his quiz funnel. Or Annaline, her story just warms my heart so much. Annaline's business was shut down last year with COVID, just completely shut down. She had to start from scratch. So for any of y'all who are feeling like you're starting from scratch and you're of the generation where you're too old, it's too late to begin, Annaline started a brand new business, and in the last year has already made $170,000. Brand new business that did not exist last year, all using this process. Now today what we're going to do is we're going to talk about putting it all together. We're going to put it all together. We're going to walk through everything that we've covered up until this point, and I'm going to show you how to connect all the dots. So for those of you who have been here from the beginning, this is where everything's going to start to come together in such a way where you're going to say, I see how it all clicks, and how everything that we've done up to this point leads seamlessly into the quiz funnel that you're going to be creating and building for your business. For those of you who are joining for the first time and you're saying, what's the fastest way to catch up on everything? Well, I got you covered as well, because that's what we're going to do right here. We're going to cover everything that we've touched on from the beginning of this challenge, connect all the pieces together. So this is both a great review and a great primer for those of you who are maybe coming in today, and for those of you who have been here from the very beginning. So let's put it all together by taking a look at what we got. So by the way, this is the time in the program where I highly encourage you, if you haven't done so already, to take something out that you can take some notes with, because we're going to cover a lot of ground in a short amount of time. You're going to want to draw what I'm drawing, so you might want to take out a piece of paper, a pencil, some colored markers, some highlighters, whatever you like to play around with. Have some fun, get artistic. This is going to help you really consolidate and remember all the key points and learnings that we've covered up until this point. And for those of you who have been here from the beginning, this is going to be an opportunity to blow away your fellow members here in this training and knock their socks off with your knowledge, because I'm going to ask some questions and I'm going to encourage you to post the answers inside the chat. So if you're ready, I'm ready. Let's take a look at what we got. This Choose, Ask, Build process has been about answering the 5 most important questions in your business. And those 5 most important questions are as follows: why, who, where, what, and today answering the question of how. And what I want to do is I want to go through this process at a high level. So you can see here we have the whole process diagrammed out, as you can see here. And we're going to recap everything that we've covered up until this point. All right, first things first, we began with your why. What's your reason why? We always want to start with why, right? Simon Sinek, famous for introducing this concept of start with why. What's your big reason why? In other words, why are you doing what you're doing? Yeah, of course, we're all here to make money. We're all here to make a living. We're all here to be successful. But, what's the reason beneath that? What's going on beneath the surface? Why are you really here? Right? You could be anywhere in the world right now. You could be doing anything you want. But you're here. You've carved time out of your day. You've carved time out of your life to be here. Why? What's your reason why? And why now? It's a topic that we haven't spent a whole lot of time talking about. Why now? What's happened in your life right here, right now? I know for me, when I first started my first business, I reached this point where I had this quarter-life crisis. I'd been thinking about starting my own business before I was forced to leave my job. I've been talking a whole lot about it, but I did a whole lot of talking and not a whole lot of doing. And I kind of needed a bit of a kick in the pants, kick in the butt to get my business off the ground. And that kick in the butt happened when my company that I was working for was about to go out of business and I was forced to leave my job. And it sort of gave me this level of clarity and focus that I said, all right, if not now, then when? Because none of us are promised tomorrow. You know that. We've all had people in our lives who we wake up one day and we find out, oh my gosh, she passed away at her age? Or he's gone at his age? None of us are promised tomorrow. And there's no better time than right here, right now, today. But what's your why and why now? Why are you here today? So if you haven't done so already, I want to encourage you to, as the image here in our diagram shows, to go live inside the group. Go live inside the group and answer 3 simple questions. Question number 1, what's your name? Question number 2, where are you from? Question number 3, what's your why? Why are you here? For those of you who have gone live, let me know in the comments by typing in the word live if you've already done it. For those of you who have not yet done it, that's what I'm going to encourage you to do. Now, does it take courage to post a live video in front of a group of strangers? Yes, it does. I'm not asking you to do anything that I'm not willing to do myself. I'm right here. I'm live. I'm letting you inside my home. This is just a room in my house right now. We're just talking. It's you and me. I want to encourage you to step into the discomfort, to seek comfort in the discomfort. Get comfortable doing things that make you uncomfortable, because this is the single most valuable skill that you can develop as a human being, is to get comfortable in the discomfort, to step into uncomfortable situations. All growth comes with discomfort. All growth comes with some pain. If you want to grow, whether you're looking to grow in the gym and build your muscles and get stronger, you want to grow as a business person, you've got to be prepared to experience a little bit of pain. So I know for some of you, you're super introverted and you don't want to do this. The thought of putting a video out there just scares the bejesus out of you. But here's what I recommend. There was a time in my life where I was petrified to do something like this. If you told me, all right, Ryan, you're going to get in front of hundreds of people and you're going to talk, I would have said, no way. It's not who I am. I want to hide behind my computer screen. But I want to encourage you to seek comfort in the discomfort. I want to encourage you to step out there and put yourself out there. It's an important first step. The psychology of doing this one thing is going to give you momentum. It's going to build momentum. You can see here on the cup that I have, this represents our core values in our company. And one of our core values in our company is the core value of courage and grit. So you heard my story, grew up working class. My parents didn't go to college, but my parents taught me 2 things. They said, you only need 2 things to be successful in life. You need courage and grit. Courage is not about not being afraid, because we're all afraid. I'm afraid. I'm afraid of what's going to happen next. We all get afraid. Courage is taking action and doing the thing that scares the crap out of you in spite of that fear. That's the first thing. The second thing that you need is grit. Grit, what that means is when you fall on the pavement, when you skin your knees, when you hurt yourself, you just get back up and you keep going. I said it the other day, I'll say it again. The name of the game, if you get stuck, repeat yourself these 3 words. Just keep swimming. We talked about your market and finding that perfect market and tossing yourself in the river and propelling yourself forward. What happens when you're just treading water? You can't let yourself drown. The name of the game, just keep swimming. So my challenge to you, if you haven't done so already, go live inside the group. That's the first step, and tell us 3 things. Where, what's your name, Where are you from? And what's your why? Pinky promise you're going to do that after we get off this call. Not now, after we get off this call. Before life gets in the way, before you get distracted, before you come up with a reason why you can't. Because remember, I shared it in my post yesterday. There are two types of people in the world. There are people who make excuses, and there are people who make things happen. And you get to choose what type of person you want to be. So that's my first challenge to you. Go ahead, go live in the group. Tell us, what is your big reason why? All right, next up, we then examine this concept, your entrepreneur business type, right? What is your entrepreneur business type? And we talked about that there are 4 types of entrepreneurs and there are 4 types of businesses. And when you identify your entrepreneurial type and the right type of business that's right for you, it uncovers a 4-letter acronym that represents your entrepreneur business type, and that gives you clarity and confidence on the type of business you are going to build, and where your quiz funnel serves you by generating your leads and customers in that business. So 4 types of entrepreneurs. Remember what they are. First type, MB. You can go along and follow along with me. MB stands for what? Post it in the comments. All y'all smarty pants. Stands for what? It stands for mission-based entrepreneur. A mission-based entrepreneur is the type of person that's drawn to a mission to right some wrong in the world, to fix some evil. And that's in contrast to the passion-based entrepreneur. Passion-based entrepreneur is the type of person that has a passion, something that they love, whether it's a hobby, whether it's an art, whether it's a sport that they play, some sort of thing that they're passionate about, that they want to share that passion with the world. It could be quilting, it could be gardening, it could be painting, it could be tennis, it could be guitar, some sort of art or hobby or activity that you are incredibly passionate about that you want to make into your vocation. And that's in contrast to the third type of entrepreneur, what we call the opportunity-based entrepreneur. The opportunity-based entrepreneur is the type of person who is the entrepreneur in the most classic sense of the word. You're the type of person that you may not have a lifelong mission, you may not have a lifelong passion, but you've got this eye for opportunity. You are just seeing opportunities everywhere you look. You constantly ask yourself, how is it that somebody has not solved this problem before? How is it that nobody's created a solution to this? Just the way your brain works. And last but not least, we've got the fourth and final type of entrepreneur, which is the undecided entrepreneur. Undecided entrepreneur, you may be in this situation, you may say, you know what, I know I want to do my own thing, I know I want to start my own business, I know I want to take control of my life, I want to take control of my destiny, I want to give myself an unlimited earning potential, I want to create something that's my own, I want to leave my mark, make my mark in the world, but I'm not sure what kind of business that looks like. I'm not quite sure what market I might go into. Now, if you are an undecided entrepreneur, my recommendation to you is going to be to start with a practice business. Pick a business. Just pick something to get started with. That's what I did. I put so much pressure on myself to pick the perfect business that I suffered from analysis paralysis. I was frozen with fear. I just thought that the first business I created was going to be my life's work, and I put so much pressure on myself. And so many of us do the same thing. We just swim around in circles and we say, oh, what about this? And what about this? And then we get pulled in all these different directions. And what happens? Look at what's happening on the screen. You don't move at all because you keep pulling yourself in all these different directions and you never get enough momentum in any one of them. So you're great at starting things. You're great at coming up with ideas, but then you just kind of let them go and you don't stick with that one thing. So there's a shadow side to each of these four types, and you've got to be aware of it. Mission-based entrepreneurs, if you are in this bucket, you're the type of person that tends to be really drawn to a mission, but oftentimes will be broke because the mission is so important. You've got a mission to serve, for example, helping people come out of poverty. And you forget the fact that, well, if someone's in poverty, they might not be able to pay for your services. Passion-based entrepreneurs, you've got to be aware of the fact that your passion, the thing that you are passionate about today, is something that you could become dispassionate about tomorrow when it becomes your job, your job. Opportunity-based entrepreneurs, you got to be careful that one day you don't just wake up having been successful in business questioning, what did you do? What was the point? Because you filled your bank account, but you haven't fueled your soul. And undecided entrepreneurs, we talked about this a moment ago, you got to be careful to not let analysis paralysis creep in, where you just don't take action because you got to get things perfect. So, first order of business, if you haven't done so already, go ahead and type in your first 2 letters of your entrepreneur business type. Are you MB, PB, OBU? And for some of you, you may have gone through this exercise and your thinking may have evolved. You may have thought about it on Monday and you might have had one answer, but as you've thought about it a little bit more and you've reflected it on a little bit more, you realize you're in a different situation. All right, now let's move on to the second part of the equation here, which is the business type that's right for you. So business type, 4 types, PF, CF, MF, EF, and what they stand for as follows. Who remembers PF? PF stands for product focus. Product focus means that you're selling some type of product. You're selling something that you serve dozens, hundreds, thousands, millions of people around the world with your product, and you might not know your customers by name. It could be a physical product, like a package of something that gets shipped in the mail. It could also be a digital product, like an online course. You might not know all of your course students or customers by name, but it allows you to reach a large number of people in a small way. So it could be something like a book. It could be something like a course. It could be something like a physical product that you ship in the mail. Now, PF, product focus, is in contrast to the next type, which is CF, and that stands for what? Stands for client focused. Client focus is where you serve a small number of clients in a deep way. You are a consultant, you are a coach, you are a real estate agent, you are an insurance broker, you are an attorney, you are someone who works with a small number of clients in a deep way. You're a medical practitioner, you are a freelancer, you have a small number of individuals that you work with in a deep way, but you impact those individuals in a profound sort of way. You know all your clients by name, and you have an intimate relationship with them all. Now, this is in contrast to the third type, which is the MF type. Anybody remember what this one is? Stands for what? Stands for membership focus. That's right. So membership focused is where you have built an online community of people that you are serving on an ongoing weekly, monthly, and yearly basis. It's a community of people that you've built that you are serving in an ongoing relationship. And this is in contrast to the fourth and final type, which is EF, which stands for what? Stands for event-focused. Event-focused means that you are working with people in a concentrated period of time. You might have something that starts, begins, and then ends. It could be a in-person live event where you're meeting with people in a physical space. It could be a digital event where you work with people over a period of time, whether it's several days, several weeks, but there's a start, a middle, and an end. And when it's over, it's done. And when it's done, you can move on to the next thing in your life. All right, so second part of the equation, you may have given some thought to this as you've done your market research, maybe your thinking's evolved. Which of these 4 types of businesses resonates most with you? Product focused, client focused, membership focused, or event focused? And by the way, just to be clear, when it comes to your entrepreneur type, we've got elements of all 4 of these types in all of us. We're not as simplistic as to say that we fit squarely in one box. So if you feel a little bit torn, you feel a little bit of, you got a little dash of passion-based and a little bit of opportunity-based, but part of you is still undecided, that's perfectly normal. Pick the one that you feel most connected to at this moment in time. Same thing here, 4 types of businesses. You might say, well, you know what? I want to have an online course. I want to have one-on-one clients. I want to have a membership, and I want to do online events. I want to do all 4 of these things. Well, that's perfectly fine. In my business, we operate in all 4 of these quadrants, but you got to pick one place to start. By the way, pro tip, if you're a little bit more introverted, you may want to operate on this side of the grid, because it means that you can kind of hide behind a computer screen and not necessarily interact with people on a daily, ongoing basis. If you are a little bit more extroverted, you may want to operate on this side of the equation because you're on the phone with clients all day, or you're working with people in a live event setting where you're interacting in an intensive way. And of course, we've got a bit of introversion and extroversion in all of us. If you're an ambivert, you might be somewhere in between. So these aren't hard and fast rules. These are just guidelines, just things to think about. You might say, you know what, I am super introverted, but I love working one-on-one with clients. That's my jam. That's great. It's all about self-awareness. It's all about self-discovery, so that you're building a business that you are going to get up and be excited about. A business that's going to move you forward to where you want to go. All right. So we start with why. What's your reason why you're doing what you're doing? We then move to you and your entrepreneur business type. Now we get to your who. Now this is going to be a review for some of you, but it's an important one because as I've seen some of y'all do the homework, I want to clarify a few important things because there's some confusion on some elements that I want to make sure you understand. Who is the question of who are you going to serve? Who is your market? Who remembers our definition of market? Post it in the comments. We define market in a very specific way. For those of you who've been following along the way, what is the way in which we've defined market? Post it in the comments. How do we define market? Do you remember? Post it in the comments. I'm going to take a look and see what we got right here. We got a great crew. I'm going to hit refresh. What is our definition of market? It is a group of people who share a common conflict. Now that common conflict could be a common goal. It could be a common problem that they're looking to solve. It could be Fortune 500 CEOs who are looking to become better leaders. It could be people who are caring for orchids who want to save their sick or dying plants. It could be people who are looking to learn the hobby of home brewing and brew their first beer. But it's a group of people who have a common conflict that they're looking for help with. And so what we're looking to do is identify a market that checks off 5 specific boxes. Now, I've learned this the hard way. I've gone into markets that don't check off these boxes, and I've learned how difficult it is to succeed. I've worked with thousands of students over the past decade, and I've learned the difference between my most successful students and my least successful students, and what the most successful students have in common. Every single one of my most successful businesses, every single one of my most successful students has been in a market that checks off all 5 of these boxes. It's what we call a green light market. So let's recap what that means. First and foremost, we want a market that's what's called evergreen. It's not a market that's here today, gone tomorrow, not a fad market, not a market that is popular right now today, but one that didn't exist a year ago and might not exist a year from now. Next up, we want an enthusiast market. This one's important. I see there's some confusion in the community on this. An enthusiast market means a market where people will continue to buy and spend money on things for years and years and years to come. It's not a problem solution market. A problem solution market, remember, is a market like, if you get a flooded basement, what do? You call up one of those companies, you say, hey, my basement is flooded, can you come clean it up? And you never want to think about it ever again. That's a problem solution market. That's not what we're looking for here. What we're looking for is a market where you can sell to the same consumer multiple products year after year after year. I keep going back to the dog market because it's an easy one for us to get our minds around. You bring a new puppy into your home, what do you need to buy? You need to buy dog food, you need to buy dog bowls, you need to buy a dog collar, dog leash. But a week later, a month later, you still gotta buy more dog food. You still gotta buy doggy treats. You gotta buy doggy toys. You gotta take care of your doggy in a medical way. You might wanna take your doggy on a doggy vacation. You might wanna have a doggy Christmas ornament on your tree. Heck, you might wanna have an artist paint a picture of your doggy so you can put it up on the wall or plaster it on your t-shirt so you can walk around and say, I'm Blue's dad. Blue's the name of our dog. So this is an example of a market where people remain consumers for years and years and years to come, and that's what you're looking for. Okay, next up. It's not enough to be in an evergreen enthusiast market. You also need an urgent problem. This is how you open the door, how you open the relationship, right? You want to find a problem where there's natural urgency, where someone needs to solve it today. It's the type of problem that when someone goes to bed at night, they cannot sleep because they're saying, I've got to do this now. Have you ever had something like that in your life where you've had a problem, something going on in your life where you just can't even sleep at night because you're thinking about it, your head is racing and you just can't stop thinking about solving that problem? That's the type of problem you want to find in your market. Now, there are many of these problems that exist in enthusiast markets. In the orchid care market, for example, the urgent problem is I got an orchid, I brought it home. Funny enough, I just saw this in a Facebook group yesterday. Someone brought an orchid home from the local grocery store here, brought it home, had it one night at home. She wakes up the next morning, all the blooms, all the flowers had fallen off, and she's frantically writing in the Facebook group, what did I do wrong? What did I do to kill my plant? Can I save it? Please help me. That's an example of an urgent problem in the context of an enthusiast evergreen market. So you want an urgent problem. That's what it looks like. Next up, you want to make sure that there's evidence of future problems, right? So once you've solved that first problem in your market, whatever that problem may be, your market will look to you as their trusted advisor. So if you're in the orchid market, you can become that person's orchid whisperer. If you're in the dog market, you can become the dog whisperer to them, their doggy guide. If you are in the business market, if you help someone solve their business problem, they're going to say, hey, I've got another problem. Can you help me with this? And that's what you're looking for, future problems. Last but not least, you want to make sure that you're in a market that's filled with PWMs, players with money. How do you know if there are players with money in your market? So I saw that question come through inside the community. Like, how do you measure if your market is filled with players with money? Well, you want to look for evidence that people are spending money in this space. Now, I'll give you an example. All things being equal, what market do you think has more players with money? The yachting market or chess? Think about it for a second. What do you need in order to play chess? What do you need? You need a board and some pieces. That's it. We can all go to the store and we can buy a chess board and some pieces for probably what? 20 bucks. And you could maybe never spend another penny in that market, right? However, in the yachting market, as an example, the barrier to entry to just get into that market is tens of thousands of dollars. And then on top of that, you've got to buy yachting equipment. You've got to get your yacht repaired. You might have someone that crews your yacht. You've got to buy all sorts of things like life jackets and floaties, and not to mention fueling your yacht, which costs a fortune. So of course the yachting market, I'm showing you two extremes. The yachting market is going to have more players with money, a higher propensity of players with money than the chess market because of the budget required to be successful. All things being equal, the golf market is filled with more players with money than the orchid market. The orchid market is a hobby that you can sustain for, hundreds of dollars a year, maybe thousands of dollars a year if you are an extreme hobbyist. The golf market, at a minimum, you're looking at thousands or tens of thousands of dollars in that market. So there's more money to be spent in that market. We think about the health market. Think about how much money people spend on their health. That's a great market. And by the way, I'll give you 4 types of markets to look at. So for those of you who are still kind of stumped on this, 4 types of markets. Number 1, find a market that's what we call in the wealth space. Any market where you help people make money or lose money. This could be in their life or in their business. So personal finance, great example. Planning for retirement. Anything that helps people grow their business. Anything that helps people generate more customers. That's a great example. The health market is number 2. Anything that helps people get healthier, whether that's lose weight, whether that's improve their skin, whether that's get better sleep, reduce their stress, anti-aging, have more energy. Anything that's health related is a great example. Number 3, anything that ties back to a hobby on which people spend money. So anything from frisbee golf to learning how to play the guitar. We've talked about golf. We've talked about a whole bunch of different hobbies, tennis, and so on and so forth. And last but not least is the relationship space. So any type of market that helps people improve their relationship, either the relationship with their spouse, with their partner, with their husband, with their wife, with their children to become a better parent, teachers improving their relationship with their students, people improving the relationship with themselves, what we call the personal development market. So anything that's in the relationship space is a great example. So you've got health, wealth, relationships, and hobbies. Those are 4 places to kind of get your brain thinking about markets that check off all 5 of these boxes. All right, again, we want to make sure we got a market that checks off, ideally, all 5 of these boxes. If we do, we have what's called a green light market. If we check off 4 but not 5 of these boxes, we've got what's called a yellow light market, proceed with caution. And if you have a market that's missing 2 or more, it's a red light market and you want to stop. You want to do not pass go. You want to go back and find a market that does check off all these boxes. And by the way, for those of you who are stuck, if you're saying like, I'm stuck, I can't quite figure out what market I want to go into, well, I've got a free resource for you. I want to invite you to get access to it. If you go to the link chooseaskbill.com/texts on the screen, chooseaskbill.com/text, and you go to this link right here, enter your email address, enter your phone number, and I will send you a text message with all of the 101 profitable niches. That's number one. And number two, it's a list of the 101 niches, the niche markets that I myself personally would be going into right here, right now, this year in 2021, because they check off all these boxes. They're what we call green light markets. They are from my private personal list of markets that I'd be going into myself. You get access to that complete list. Oh, and by the way, if we go back to my iPad here, when you sign up for that list, I'll also send you a text message with all my personal notes from every day, including these notes here today. All right, so once you've identified your who, remember, recap, you got to identify where these people exist online. We want to make sure that this is a reachable market, that there is a group of people that we can identify online. And we've got 5 places to look. You go to Google Forums, you go to Facebook groups, LinkedIn groups if you're in a B2B market, Quora for topics if you're in a knowledge-based space, and meetup.com if you are in a local business. So 5 places to find your ideal client online. Now, I want to be clear about something. This isn't where you're going to be selling to people. Like I see some of you jumping to the next step or thinking that you're jumping to the next step, that you're saying, all right, so this is where I'm going to be selling to people. No! You're going to these places to learn about these people. We're going to these places for market research to identify what are the natural conversations that are already taking place. So that once we've answered this question of where, we've now set ourselves up to, following the path right here, to answer the question of what. To identify the 3 to 5 biggest challenges that exist in the market. Why are we doing this? Because again, we want to identify what are the things that people have expressed is a problem that they're looking to solve. You don't want to start with your products. The biggest mistake that people make, they say, all right, I created this product, how do I sell it? Anytime I see someone or hear about someone who's in that situation, I say, gosh, it's going to be a tough road. Instead, you want to start with the market. You want to start with a buyer. You want to start with a starving crowd. Remember that. Start with a starving crowd. Don't say, I've invented this new food that I want to try to put onto the world. No, say, I'm going to start with a line of people. You could be the best cook in the world. You could be the best chef in the world, right? But I will go head to head with you if I have one advantage. So you might have the best product in the world, that you've invented some crazy new thing that the world has never seen before. That's fine. But I just want one thing. I just want a starving crowd. Because here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to walk up to that starving crowd. I'm going to walk up to the first person in that line. And what I'm going to say is this. What would you like to eat today? And they're going to say, I want to eat this. And I'm going to say, give me 1 second. And I'm going to find that thing. I'm going to give it to them. I'm going to say, would you like to buy it? It's as simple as that. You guys, you make it so complicated. It's literally just figure out what people want to buy in your market and deliver it to them. Whether that means you create the product yourself, or you partner with someone who has that expertise, or you find somebody else's product to sell as an affiliate. You don't have to create the product yourself. You just got to find something to sell. And that was a question I saw come up in the community, which is, Ryan, what if I don't have expertise in my market? Can I be successful? Do you think that I knew a thing about orchids when we went into the orchid market? I mean, come on, look at me. Do I look like someone who knows anything about orchids? I knew nothing about orchids when I went into that market. The only thing I knew is I went to the store, I said, those flowers look pretty. I think my wife might like those. I bought them, I brought them home, and then a week later, they all died. That's what I knew about orchids. That was the sum total of my knowledge. But when you go into a market and you decide that you want to serve, here's the thing. And you might want to write this down. Remember this. To the 4th grader, the 5th grader is a genius. What does that mean? Well, if you've got small kids, you know, right? If you've got small kids, they look up to their big brother, big sister, to their older cousin, or the kids that are a few years older. They think that they know everything. And the reality is there's some truth to that. You only need to be 1 or 2 steps ahead of your customer in your journey to acquiring knowledge. You only need to be 1 or 2 steps ahead of where someone's at. You don't need to have PhD level expertise in your subject matter. You just need to be the person that figured out the answer to a question that you had last week that someone has this week. Think about that. Think if you've ever been in that situation before where you're struggling with something, a question that you're looking to solve, and you're saying, hey, does anybody know the answer to this? And someone comes in and says, hey, you know what? Last week I had the same problem and here's what I figured out. That's incredibly valuable. And all you need to be to your client is the 5th grader to them as your 4th grader. You only need to be 1 or 2 steps ahead of where they're at. So don't feel like you need to have world-class expertise, and you don't even need to be the expert yourself. I've launched businesses where I knew nothing about the subject and I just partnered with someone. Or you hire someone. There are so many broke experts in this world, people who have deep domain expertise that they want to share their knowledge in the world, but they don't know how to sell that knowledge. They're looking for someone like you to come in who's learning this process so that you can bring them in and be the answer to your questions. So you don't have to have the expertise yourself to be successful in one of these markets. But what you want to do is start with the real challenges. In many ways, a Zen mind is a beginner's mind. And what that means is the curse of knowledge makes it more difficult in some cases to be successful, because you come in with your PhD level knowledge and you say, I know what to create. Versus when you are a complete beginner, you can walk into a market and you can say, you know what? I don't know anything. I'm just going to be like a child right now. And I'm just going to pay attention to what people are saying, and I'm going to let the market guide my decision. Remember, your message, your quiz, your copy, everything should come from your market, not from your mind. Your message should come from your market, not from your mind. And your job is to just literally echo back the natural consumer language that your market gives you. So here we go. We identify what the biggest challenges are in your market, identify the top 3 to 5. Remember, who remembers what this fancy little thing relates to and what this is referring to? Remember what this means? What this means, D stands for depth, F stands for frequency, and what we say here is when it comes to paying attention to information, depth of response is more important than frequency of response. What we call the myth of the FAQ. Remember what we're looking for. We want to pay attention to people who give us long, detailed, passionate answers. This part of the curve up here. You want to avoid down here the part of the curve where people give you these surface level responses that you see pop up over and over again. And so there are 3 pieces of information that we want to be looking at to identify what we call the hyper-responsive or the hyper-invested segment of your market. First and foremost, you want to identify what's the biggest challenge, the people that give you the long, detailed, passionate answers. You want to look for challenges that people have spent a lot of time trying to solve, and challenges that people have spent a lot of money trying to fix. And when you have these 3 things, long, detailed, passionate answers, where there's an indication that people have spent a lot of time trying to solve it and have spent money to fix it, what that tells you is that you've ding, 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 ding. You've struck gold. You've hit the jackpot. Now it's just a matter of giving people a solution to this problem. And that takes us to where we are here today, which is, how do you do it? How do you do it? Well, to put it all together, what you need in order to sell your product or service online is you need something that we call a funnel. Now, what is a funnel exactly? Let's define what a funnel means. So, if we go back to our iPad here, we look at what is a funnel in a nutshell. A funnel is as follows. A funnel is a series of steps that you invite someone to take online to take them from going from not knowing who you are, not having ever heard of you or knowing anything about what it is that you do, to then becoming a paying customer or client. And you take them through a series of steps like this. Now, the problem with this, by the way, before we move on, does that make sense? Type the word funnel inside the chat if that makes sense. Just let me know. I want to make sure that you're all with me, that this makes sense. I know we kind of went through this review to get to where we are here today, but this is where it all comes together. So you need a funnel. Right? You need a funnel. You need a series of steps that you can invite someone to take to go from not knowing who you are to becoming your customer. But what we just discovered is that when it comes to identifying the problems that exist in the market that you're looking to solve, that oftentimes the solution, there's no one-size-fits-all answer. Right? People are coming in from all sorts of different angles. If you're in the orchid market, yeah, there are people who have a sick or dying orchid, but for some people, it's yellow leaves. For other people, it's they're underwatering. For other people, they're overwatering. For some people, the blooms have fallen off. For other people, the orchid spike has turned into a dried out stick. So the question is, how do you sell to people if what you're doing is taking people all through the same period of steps? The answer is you can't. You cannot sell to people in a one-size-fits-all way. So what's the solution? Well, the solution is what we call a quiz funnel. Now, a quiz funnel, in contrast, works like this. A quiz funnel is a funnel where when someone has no idea who you are, instead of trying to sell them something right away, you begin by asking a series of questions to better understand their situation so that you can ultimately diagnose and prescribe the best next step for them. Now, in some cases, the best next step might be a different product or service based on their situation. But in other cases, you might be selling everybody in your market the same product or service, but you might just talk about that product or service in a different way. In fact, that's exactly what we do inside the orchid market. Inside the orchid market, we sell everybody our same product, which is our book, Orchids Made Easy. Now, the reason why we do this is because the book has different chapters. The book has different topics. And based on a person's situation, what they're struggling with, what do you think we do? We put them into one of several buckets and we talk about how the book, Orchids Made Easy, can help them. If someone is struggling to repot their plant, we talk about Chapter 7 and how Chapter 7 is going to show you how to repot your plant. If someone is struggling with reblooming their orchid, getting the orchid flowers to come back to life, then we're going to talk about reblooming in Chapter 5. If someone has a sick or dying orchid where the leaves are yellow or the roots are all mushy, we're going to take them to Chapter 9 and talk about how we can help them save their sick or dying plant. One product that we've repositioned in different ways based on that person's situation. So the question you want to ask yourself is, the market that you're looking to serve, do you fit into one of the following categories? In fact, we'll use the chat to do this right now. If you are in a market right now where you sell multiple products, you sell more than one product, type the word multiple inside of the chat. In contrast, if you're in a situation where you sell one primary product or service, but that product or service could potentially help people in slightly different situations, type in single for single product or service. So multiple or single. And for those of you who are just a beginner right now, like you've got no product, no service, no business, no nothing, that's perfectly fine, by the way. Type the word beginner. Now, by the way, if you're selling multiple products, again, a quiz funnel is going to help you route people to the best product for them. If you sell one product or service, it's going to allow you to recommend that product or service in a way that's customized and customize your messaging to a person based on their situation. And if you're a complete beginner right now and you're wondering, how do you even use this? Well, there is no better way to build what we call a pre-launch list than to do so on the back of a quiz. In the quiz, where you answer the person's question based on what you've discovered inside the market, instead of selling something to someone right away, you can say very simply, here's the answer to your quiz. And by the way, if you'd like to be notified when we make a solution available to this problem, all you need to do is follow the instructions on this page and let us know. Again, what's the single most important thing to start with when you're starting your business? A starving crowd. How do you think you create that starving crowd? Well, get a bunch of people to go through the quiz and let them know, well, your solution's not ready quite yet, but you're working on it. How would you like to be notified as soon as it's been made available? And you have a starving crowd of people, a ready line of people, a line of people out the door before you've even opened up your storefront who are saying, when are you going to open? We are ready to buy right now. That's a secret. That's how you get the results like I've shared with you. People getting their first sale in a matter of days, getting $20,000 their first month in business because they've built a starving crowd, a line of people out the door, and they've done it using a quiz. So, this is what a quiz funnel looks like in action. And what I want to do now is I want to walk you through what we're going to be covering inside the quiz funnel workshop and give you a few examples of what this looks like for real. So we've talked about this conceptually, right? We've talked about a funnel versus a quiz funnel, how these two things are different from one another. We've talked about how it fits into the process that we've covered up until this point. We've covered how it works for you if you sell multiple products, if you sell a single product, or if you're just getting started right now and create that starving crowd, that line of people out the door. Let's take a look at what a few of these quiz funnels look like in action. So check it out. Here's an example. So here's an example of a quiz funnel in the golf space that sounds a little something like this. Imagine you're in the golf space and you want to help people improve their golf swing, which is a problem that you've identified through your research that you've done in your niche. And you found that one of the biggest problems that people want to have is they want to hit the ball further, straighter, more accurately, and do it with consistency. So you have a quiz funnel that looks a little something like this. Hi, my name is Jim, and I've been helping golfers for the last 25 years. And what I found is that every golfer from the ranked beginner to the seasoned tour pro suffers from one of what we call 10 mistakes that we call swing killers. and that by identifying your number one swing killer, you can often unlock over 30 yards of driving distance practically overnight. And the best part is I can help you identify what your number one swing killer is for free. And I can do it in under 60 seconds. All you need to do is click the button below, answer a few simple questions. I'll give you not only what your number one swing killer is, but I'll show you how to fix it for free. Attract, diagnose, prescribe. I'll give you another example. Let's say you're selling a physical product. I know some of you here inside this group, you're selling health products. Let's say you're selling a weight loss supplement, like in this case here. This is Dr. Steve Siskin. Him and his partner, Buck Risby, have a quiz called Weight Loss Type. Take this quiz to find out what your body's weight loss type is. There are 4 of them, type A, type I, type G, type C. Take the quiz to find out what your weight loss type is, and with that information, understand what type of foods you should avoid, what types of exercise is going to work best for fat loss for you, and what type of supplementation you might want to take to accelerate your results. Attract, diagnose, prescribe. Well, let's take a look at this one here. I know some of y'all are in the sort of personal finance space, real estate, insurance. Let's take a look at Mark's quiz, which is a home sellability score quiz. So he's got a local real estate practice, and he created a quiz, what's your home's sellability score? Is now the right time to sell your home? The real estate market right now is hot in so many different places. So many people are wondering, should I sell my home now? Should I wait? What's the right decision? Take this quiz to find out now. Attract, diagnose, prescribe. And then Mark gets on the phone and goes through the results of a person's quiz. And then from there, if they're a good fit to sell their home, well, he's landing clients left and right on the back of this quiz. Now, we're going to be going through examples in all sorts of different markets, in market after market after market after market after market after market inside this quiz funnel workshop beginning next week. We're going to go through examples. People like Janine literally launching her quiz in less than 16 days and getting 370 leads and 3 clients in less than 2 weeks. People like Dr. Tanji, 5,000 leads and $20,000 in her first 30 days. People like Del Shield, a retired Lutheran pastor, 65 years old, launched his first quiz funnel, sold over $1.2 million in real estate on the back of his quiz. People like Brian Dixon, who used a quiz to explode the growth of his membership, over 4,000 paying members of his membership site on the back of his quiz that's generated over 106,000 leads. And people like Marvin Leventhal, who is a 61-year-old retiree who's now building quiz funnels for other people, which I believe, by the way, is one of the most lucrative opportunities. I'm just going to plant that seed to you. For those of you not quite sure what you want to do, trying to pick your market, building quiz funnels for other people, a lot of money to be doing that. And you're going to hear dozens of stories in all sorts of different markets of people who are using this right now as we speak and the results that they are getting. So, where do you go from here? What is the next step? So if we go back to our diagram and all the steps that we've covered up until this point, remember, you want to begin by first answering the question of why. Why are you doing what you're doing? You want to then figure out what's your entrepreneur business type. Identify your who. What market are you going to serve? Where are you finding that market online so that you can do the critical market research to identify what problem they are looking to solve. And not only just solve, but what problem they're willing to spend money to solve so that you can build a funnel. What kind of funnel? A quiz funnel that gives them exactly what they need. The next step that you want to take right here, right now, today, as your homework assignment for this session, is to go through an actual quiz funnel yourself. And you want to do this for a few reasons. Number one, the most important, most effective way to be successful is to see success, to emulate before you innovate, to see a successful quiz funnel in action so that you can begin thinking about how you can apply this and create this for yourself. That's the first reason. Second reason is I want to invite you to go through a quiz funnel today that's going to customize next week's workshop. That's right. When you go through the quiz funnel I'm going to share with you here in just a moment, the answers to your quiz are going to customize your experience beginning next week. You're going to have customized examples, customized content, customized resources based on the answers to your quiz. So the link that you want to follow is the link that you see here that I'm going to share on the iPad, which is as follows. The Quiz Funnel Workshop, how to build a quiz funnel step by step. And in this workshop, we are going to cover what a quiz funnel is. We're going to cover the 3 types of quizzes. We're going to cover the 5 biggest mistakes that people make and how to avoid making them. We're going to be covering the 6 steps to create your very own quiz funnel. You're going to get all sorts of resources like the one that I have in my hands here, the Quiz Funnel Blueprint that you see here, the blueprint for building your quiz funnel step by step, how to come up with your big idea, quiz funnel swipe file, quiz funnel templates, everything that you could possibly need to be successful to create a quiz funnel. Plus, I'm going to be going live every single day doing detailed step by step training. Guys, this week was just the warm-up. This week was just to get you to this point right here, to get you to the point where you are excited and ready and aware and able to build your quiz funnel. It all happens in this quiz funnel workshop right here on the screen, and the link that you want to follow is right here. You want to take the funnel quiz right here, right now, today. In other words, your first step, your homework assignment today is to go to the link that you see here on my screen, takethefunnelquiz.com, and when you do that, it's going to take you to a quiz that looks like this. This quiz is a meta quiz. This is an example of a quiz funnel in action where you're going to see what type of funnel is right for your business. So there are 27 different types of online marketing funnels. If you've heard about funnels and if you've been confused about funnels, it's not your fault. There's a lot of confusing, conflicting information out there. The question isn't, should you have a funnel? The answer is absolutely yes. The question is, what type of funnel is right for you based on your business, based on your price point, based on your product, based on your niche, based on all these different factors. And when you go through this quiz right here at takethefunnelquiz.com, not only are you going to get a custom recommendation and see what a real life quiz funnel looks like in action, but it's also going to customize your experience over the next week together when we go through the quiz funnel workshop. So that is your assignment today. Your assignment is to go to takethefunnelquiz.com, go through this quiz, and make sure that you get signed up for the workshop. And here's the reason why. The reason is because we kick things off on Monday, June 14th. That's when the quiz funnel workshop goes live. So between now and then, not only do you want to make sure that you have gone to this link at takethefunnelquiz.com, you want to make sure that you have caught up on everything that we've covered here inside this workshop. You want to make sure that, if you bear with me 1 second, and hit refresh on this page, you want to make sure that you've gone through everything in this workshop, beginning with, on my screen right here, day 1, getting started, you and your business why. Moving forward to, if I click the restart button here, day 2, who do you serve? Covering day 3, if I hit the watch button again, where do you find your ideal customers? Day 4, what to ask them, and then how to know what to sell them. And by the way, if you're wondering, where do you find all this great information? If you scroll way back up to the top of your quiz funnel community, at the very top, you're going to see here a banner that looks a little something like this. You probably won't see this section right here. You're going to see here all these different things. If you go to this link right here that says guides, go to guides. You're going to see everything in the Choose, Ask, Build challenge, beginning with the welcome, day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4. So you can catch up on everything that you missed, but you want to make sure that you do that starting today and get it done this weekend. Now, we decided that we're going to do a special bonus session tomorrow because I know that there's so many of you that have questions about stuff that we've covered. So we're going to be doing a bonus session tomorrow. The bonus session tomorrow is happening same time, right here, but we're going to be doing things a little bit differently. It's going to be a different type of session. So if you've got a question about your situation, about your market, about this process, about anything that we've covered up until this point, what I want to encourage you to do today is to post your question here. And then tomorrow I'll be covering as many questions as we have time to cover in the special bonus Q&A session, including anything that you might be wondering about. The only catch is you got to post your question today because I'm going to be reviewing your questions tonight so that I can prepare for tomorrow. So go ahead and do that if you haven't done so already. And by the way, you can find this by going to announcements inside the group. If you go to announcements, you'll see here the session that we're in right now, which is this one right here. And you will see, I believe you will see it here. If you scroll down, a question that's here, a post that's here, it's dark blue. You can see the 2 red question marks in it. Got questions? Post your challenge right here and go ahead and do this. And by the way, the faster you get your question in, the more likely there'll be a chance that I get to it. All right. So we've covered up until this point everything that this process has led to here, beginning with the very start of this process and the 5 critical questions to answer. We've gone through all the way to your assignment here today, which is to take the quiz and to share, by the way, your results. One thing I didn't mention is after you've taken the quiz, go ahead and here inside the community and share your results. You can type in the hashtag MyFunnelType. So MyFunnelType will give you an opportunity to post that here inside the community after you've taken the quiz, so you can go ahead and do that. Catch up on everything that you've missed. Again, if you want to get my notes that you see right here on the screen, all you need to do is go to the link that I shared with you just a moment ago, which is chooseaskbill.com/text. You'll get all the notes from today. You'll get my 101 profitable niches, and you'll get some extra goodies that I haven't even begun to share with you. And the link looks like a little something like this. Enter your email address, enter your phone number, and we'll text you all that good stuff later today. All right, last order of business before we wrap things up is as follows. I always like to end things with asking you the same question. That question is, based on everything that we've covered here in today's session, what has been your single biggest takeaway? Go ahead, inside the comment thread, type the word takeaway in all caps with square brackets around it. So use the word takeaway in all caps and square brackets. And I'd love to wrap things up here today by sharing, by expressing, by repeating some of your takeaways here inside the community. If I go back to the thread, if you bear with me 1 second and hit the refresh here, I love to share this with you. Awesome. If you've got a takeaway, go ahead and do this. Mary says, is there an app that we can use to create a funnel and integrate your website? Oh, Mary, we're going to be covering all that next week. We're going to be covering exactly how to do this in your business next week and all that good stuff. I agree. Very powerful as well. Tony says, my takeaway is to do a quiz funnel. Robert's takeaway is beginner's mind is a Zen mind. Miriam's takeaway is have great success without being I couldn't catch the rest of that. Takeaway says, finding groups, it's just for research, not for selling. Yes, we're going to talk about where you find people to sell your product or service beginning next week. We're still in the research phase. You guys are jumping to the end. You know, we're covering, okay, so how do you approach a beautiful woman on the other side of the bar? And you're saying, okay, so when I married her for 5 years, what do I do next? You're jumping like 15 steps down the way, all right? We're going to get there, but we got to take things one step at a time. I love it. Liz, takeaway, so much learning and excitement about this future. I'm going to spend the weekend recapping the lessons. You're awesome. Scott says, to the 4th grader, the 5th grader is a genius. Takeaway, a quiz can be used to sell many products or one, says Sally. Ryan says, how valuable a quiz funnel is. Absolutely. Diane says, to the 4th grader, 5th grader is a genius. I don't need to know it all. Joe says, I love how you've broken it down and it fuels the creativity and gives you opportunity and hope. Yeah, we just got to break things down into bite-sized pieces, guys. You can do this. You just need the right process, and you need the right person who's been there before, who can take you through the process. There's so much confusion and conflicting information online. Absolutely. Takeaway, says Marion, have customers waiting in line, hungry and ready to buy. BP says, your message should come from your market, not from your mind. Naomi says, your message should come from your market, not from your mind. 2 in a row. I love this. Agobi says, just start. Let's see. Ryan says, takeaway, clarity, clarity, clarity. Absolutely. Birch says, what if you don't have a product or service to sell them yet? That's perfect. You're in a great situation. You launch with a pre-launch list so that you can sell either your product or service or someone else's product or service as an affiliate. We're going to be covering all of that and more in next week's Quiz Funnel Workshop. Takeaway says, Salvador, quiz funnels are awesome. Takeaway says, I've got to rewatch everything. Penny says, takeaway, find a broke expert. Yeah, great partner. Sue says, bring in additional experts. Love it. What time is the session on Monday? Same time as today's session. So the session on Monday, same time as today's session, which in my local time zone is US 3 p.m. Central Time. So same time that today's session started, that's when Monday's session is going to start as well. So we try to keep everything at the same time so you can just plan your life, you can make arrangements, you can plan your schedule, same time every single day. David says, takeaway, I am ready with my product. Diane says, the process is everything. I think Sachin said, join the quiz funnel. Sachin says, get help from Ryan. Another one said, build quiz funnels for other people. Love it. Takeaway, says David, I'm ready with my product. fact, we are learning to date, not to get married. Yes, you got to take one little step at a time. Absolutely. Kathy says, thank you so much for this week's training. I joined last year, and I love that you're back here as well. It's great. So much activity going so fast. Listen, we're going to wrap things up here, guys. It's been a great session here. You know what you need to do. If you need to catch up on anything that we've done up until this point, go back to the previous sessions, binge watch it today, binge watch this weekend. If you got a question, make sure that you post your question in that question thread so I can cover it tomorrow. I'd love to answer your questions and help you out in as many ways as I possibly can. And at a minimum, absolute minimum, make sure that you go to takethefunnelquiz.com and go through that process of finding out what type of funnel is right for your business. That is the single most important homework assignment here today, because that's what's going to get you inside the Quiz Funnel Workshop. That's what's going to set you up for success. We've got an amazing week together next week. I cannot wait to do this. This is where stuff gets really fun and interesting. All the stuff that we've done up to this point is all the important foundational stuff, but it's kind of like, just getting the groundwork going. Next week is where it starts to get really fun, really exciting, and I cannot wait to welcome you back for that. So with that being said, let's wrap things up for today. Have a great rest of your day. Have a great rest of your week. I will see you tomorrow on the Q&A call over the weekend, and I will see you next week, Monday, same time, same channel, June 14th, for the kickoff of the 2021 Quiz Funnel Workshop. Remember, it only happens once a year. Happens live. Do not miss it, because it will not happen for at least another 12 months. So you better be there. You better be there live. All right. Have a great rest of your day. Take care. Talk soon. And I will see you inside the workshop. Bye, guys. See ya.